finally doing an album review. D here, took me a while to say album review or something. I'm back. This is what we're doing. It's Greg Laswell. Focus. It's Greg Laswell. I was going to be an astronaut. Greg Laswell was going to be an astronaut. Had sent the Needle Drop a link to this album to review it. He never touched it. He must hate me or something. So I'm going to tackle it. Greg Laswell is a San Diego based singer-songwriter. Has been around for a while now, since about 2003. Vanguard Records recording artist now. I don't think he's always been. Apparently, just Googled, and he is married to Ingrid Michaelson, which she must serenade him, and how unfortunate for him. So Greg Laswell is a singer-songwriter artist who has put out this new LP of all quote-unquote new tracks. To people who are familiar with Greg, these aren't really new tracks. What this album is just an album of remakes of songs that have been on previous releases from his other work. And all he's done is recut them, give them some different arrangements. Now, I had no idea who Greg was, but this latest album, we play it at work because we have to. But it's kind of a good thing. Because I have discovered him and really latched onto him, and I love his music, and it's exciting to be excited about new music, and which is something that's been going on a lot lately between 5 Seconds of Summer and Greg Laswell, and gosh, just so much good music going on right now. Can't even function properly. So this is a new album, recut, redone stuff. Now, by mistake, I stumbled across one of his older EPs, How the Day Sounds, which was released in 2008, and bought it to kind of compare and contrast this new album with some of the old stuff. Because after I heard the new album and really liked it, I went and listened to some of the older stuff, but I only listened to songs from his album titled Take a Bow, which I believe came out in 2010. So I've been kind of listening to the old, listening to the new, bouncing back and forth, and I'll put one CD in, pop the other out while I'm driving. And the sound and the type of arrangements he's using has really just changed dramatically from late last decade, early this decade, to this more recent album that just came out in February. The newer album is a lot more piano-centric, and it's a lot more ambient. The older stuff he's done has more of a coffee house and a slight indie rock touch to it, with more instrumentation, aside from just maybe piano and acoustic guitar. You know, there's percussive elements in there. There's some organ in there as well. And it's just very different. In his older stuff, you can hear a lot of influence from his contemporaries, like John Mayer and the Swell Season, things like that. So that's the new feel of the album is a lot different. It's a lot more piano-centric. It's a lot more cavernous and ambient and lonely sounding. And some of the recording on it is very interesting as well, because with that kind of echoey, lonely feeling he gives to it, at times it honestly sounds like he's in the room with you, and then at other times it sounds like he's in a big room with you, and it honestly sounds like you're in the middle of the room and he's singing on one side of the room, but the piano is on the other opposing end, like they're coming from two different places, and it's kind of, that's how it sounds in the speaker. And it might bother some people. Maybe, they're not in the right channels or something, but it, especially with Greg's songwriting style and his delivery and the motif that he has, it really helps kind of get his messages and his lyrics across. And even though Greg's voice is nothing, outstanding, he has a very comfortable range. His voice really just kind of cuts through, even though it's kind of melancholy and toned down. He delivers in a very sincere manner as well, which helps. Now, his songwriting style is also what fascinated me, because Greg, his chord progressions are very simple, and the lyrics aren't too fancy. But he has just this knack for creating songs that sound very familiar, and you feel like you've already heard them before, and that's a lot of artists just can't do that, and he's really dang good at doing it. And also his songwriting style, he writes mostly about kind of love and some cheesier stuff and things like that. But he, and it's simple, but he's so sincere in his delivery, and he's very emotional and passionate when he sings, even though he is kind of toned down and reverbed out. And it's really interesting to hear. And the newer sound is one that is not as upbeat as some of his older stuff. The older stuff is a little bit more rocky. It's mid-up tempo at times. This one is just toned down and turned down for everything, essentially. So it's not good or bad. It's just different from the other stuff. So there's pros and cons to each version, but both versions of some of these songs he's done on old stuff, new stuff, it's very good. Though Greg's songwriting style is kind of simple, as far as chord progressions go, aside from having a knack for making songs that feel familiar and like you've heard them already, he is a master at creating these earworms with just little piano licks or certain guitar strums, or sometimes when he sings along with the piano or the guitar, making his voice part of the instrumentation, and it just gets stuck in your head, and it's just he's so pleasant to listen to. It's just a very relaxing voice. There's actually one song on here, I believe it's called Take Everything, and initially when I heard this album over the speakers at work, I thought in the chorus of that song there was a fretless bass sliding, giving it kind of a new age feel to it. And then once I listened to it on the speakers here and the speakers in my car, I realized that is him singing with the piano the words to the song, and the way he just kind of slides into these notes like he does on every song gives it this fretless bass kind of feel, and it's just really interesting, how he just kind of wavers and doesn't really have these jump cut to different notes. He just kind of eases into them and lets it fall or build naturally. It's very interesting to hear. And also lyrically, his songwriting style is, it's not anything too ostentatious. It's not anything too showy. I mean, there's simple words that rhyme, and because of his delivery being kind of melancholy and very somber, it overshadows how kind of quirky and goofy he can be at times. There's a certain line in the song called "What a Day," which is actually my favorite song on the album, where he says, "What a day to give a damn, what a day for Gone with the Wind," referencing, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn to the gone, get the thing, and the whole thing. But yeah, so, I mean, that's what I gotta say, and every song on here is just interesting piano hooks and just reverbed out keyboards. There's some bells in there every now and then, simple guitar strumming, and even though I do like some of the older stuff I've heard from him where there's more instrumentation, a little bit more of upbeat, slightly rock folky feel to it, I like this. I think it's just raw and just shows his raw talent and ability and makes it feel very intimate and just like you're in the room with him. And it also, and when you have those kinds of things, it makes it more emotional, and you can really relate to a lot of the songs that are on the album. So I think this is the first album I've ever reviewed on my YouTube channel that gets a 5 out of 5 star rating. So I recommend anybody, please pick up a copy or get it on Amazon or iTunes if it's available there. Greg Laswell, I Was Going to Be an Astronaut. He wins, man. He wins. That's it. I'm Kulprit D. We'll try to have more for you soon. Thank you guys for watching. Deuce. Ez.